They garnered critical intrigue, but some interest when it came to the Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters, but they are here, and we can finally look at them. Stay tuned, we're gonna really look at the Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters right now. This is Kelphelp, and Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster is going to be the name of the game. It's going to be encompassing Final Fantasies 1 through 3, which are already released. 4, 5, and 6 will be released at a later time, but it's nice to know that these are here, so let's actually take a look at it. So two things. One, if you're looking for a direct comparison of other previous Final Fantasies in that specific, you're not really going to be finding that. This is going to be an overview of Pixel Remaster as a whole, so I will be jumping through different games of Pixel Remaster. However, if you are interested at port versus ports of Final Fantasy, go right here, subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna make some for you guys. The second thing to note is that I've been very grateful to be sent codes by Square Enix themselves. They gave me codes for Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3, so I'll be checking those with you guys today. However, they will not influence my decision, and if anything, you guys know there is a lot to talk about with this one, even before release. Let's just get on with it. So let's talk about the objective of the Pixel Remasters. What are they trying to achieve? What they're trying to do is to update Final Fantasies 1 through 6 in a 16-bit remastered style, but modernized for newer generation. To kind of remodernize the title, we have brand new music officially composed by Nobuo Uematsu. We have new sprites by Kazuko Shibuya, and we also have new menus to kind of reflect the new modernization style. For better or worse, we'll get more into that. That's the objective of what these Pixel Remasters are trying to do, but as you delve more into this, for better or worse, I think a lot of people will not like some of the subjectiveness, and I think the graphics is a huge problem that a lot of people will have. So let's talk about the character sprites. They were originally done by Kazuko Shibuya, which is the original sprite artist for the original Final Fantasies, and what they've done is that they turned these sprites into a 16-bit style to fit the entire game. We have brand new backgrounds that haven't been seen in before. They also look different in comparison to, let's say, Dawn of Souls on the PS1 or on the GBA, but they are their own thing. And I really do appreciate that these are brand new sprites backgrounds, so it feels like it's fresh. However, this is personally for me, I don't know if I dig the new sprites. Call me crazy, but I feel like we're actually losing detail in comparison to Dawn of Souls PS1, or even more detail on the PSP, although the PSP version is trying to smooth things out, but trying to restylize the original sprites and give them their own appeal. I'm okay with the sprites, but I know some people may or may not like them, so that's kind of going to be a subjective thing on that. However, the menus are a significant problem I think everyone will see. So here's the thing about this. When you look at something like, let's say, a Pixel Remaster, so we'll go back to Dawn of Souls on the PS1, the game is done in a 16-bit style, but the menus are also done in 16-bit. So there really is that cohesiveness that ties everything together. However, if you look at these new Pixel Remasters, you have a pixelated sprite and background, but then you have very high-res menus as well as font. That little bit of dissonance, I will admit, does take me away, and the font is absolutely ugly. It's very tiny. Sometimes I can't even read some of the menus or some of the font just because it's so squished together. There even is a mod to fix some of the font already. So if that is already an indication of how people hate the menus, I don't know what is. Alright, so maybe that isn't a good example for you, but let's backtrack to another game, completely different, Hotline Miami. Fantastic, beautiful, stylized game. You go in guns blazing. During some of these cutscenes, you are in an overhead perspective, but you also have some of the menus that are done in a pixelated fashion. So just imagine if I took this section, I completely added brand new font, but just for the hell of it, let's do some Comic Sans, and you can really see how that takes you out of the game. You get my drift. There's no cohesiveness. I will admit, I don't think this is optimized that well either, which is even more baffling. There's a ton of screen tear going from left and right. I'm running an ultra-wide monitor that's at 75 Hz, so the game should be running buttery smooth, and yet it just flickers and there's tons of screen tearing that it's not something I'm a big fan. However, going into the resolution, I'm such a big fan of this. You'd be surprised how many games don't have support for 21:9, 2560 by 1080, and yet this game does it beautifully and flawlessly. It actually expands everything to 32:9, or you can run this game in 4K, whatever resolution you can do. And you'd be surprised how beautiful of an inclusion that is. Not many games have to do that. I actually make PC modding guides so you guys know how to do it in widescreen. That's a big deal. Another feature I feel like all of these remasters are trying to do is add a so-called CRT filter or a classic filter. What it's trying to do is trying to give the game some scan lines, raise the gamma a little bit, but also add some color bleeding on some of the sprites just to kind of emulate that CRT look. But I'm gonna be honest, it really hurts my eyes. It's very untastefully done. I don't think Square Enix knows how to get a CRT filter done, so just turn it off. It's ugh. All right, so let's move on to the music, and I think this is absolutely worth the purchase and price of entry. Like I said, the Final Fantasy series has been done by Nobuo Uematsu in terms of music composition, and here he is coming back with these great compositions, and instead of using MIDI instruments, he's going back and orchestrating everything. I always felt that the compositions of Final Fantasy were more formulated for an orchestrated fashion, and to finally, you'd be surprised, to finally have that in this fashion, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible to hear your favorite tunes beautifully orchestrated. Although I will admit, some people might not like that and they prefer some of the 8-bit music or even the 16-bit music from Dawn of Souls, and that's okay. But I would hope that Square Enix in an update would add some of the previous tracks and you can interchange them similar to Final Fantasy X, where you can go to the previous soundtrack or you can go to the HD remaster. Having that little bit of options I think is a great thing that I hope they can add one day, but who knows. There have been a slight uptick in terms of mechanics, but not as much as I think a lot of people would like. What's nice is that going back from Final Fantasy VII, where you have that, I think it's like the fast forward, where you can actually speed up battles. You have the same thing here as well, Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3, and I'm pretty sure 4, 5, and 6. So it's nice that you can just go through guns blazing and just finish a couple bit of battles, so you can kind of go through dungeons and go through the game a little bit faster. Quick save features is a huge deal. You can save anywhere that you want to in terms of quick save, but if you want to do a harder save, you have to go outside into the world map, save the game, and you can do that, but it is nice. 2 steps forward, 1 step back, quite literally, because of the dash mechanics, which is something that I'm kind of baffled at. Going back into Dawn of Souls PS1, if you actually toggle, you can actually dash as much as you want and you don't have to hold the button. Same thing with the PSP version as well. You can actually dash to your heart's leisure. With this one, you actually have to hold the button and there is no toggle for that. I know it's a very minute detail, but considering that you're going to be playing this game for about a good 20-30 hours from all 6 games, I think it's a feature that should have been added. Piggybacking from Dawn of Souls and the PSP version, yes, you will get a full beast tree, which allows you to go through each of the sprites of the monsters and beasts that you will find through all 3 games. You'll also be going through a gallery seeing the beautiful Yoshitaka Amano art from all of the Final Fantasies, which are already unlocked in comparison to, let's say, Dawn of Souls, which you have to unlock over time. And they included one of the most adorable music players I've ever seen in a video game. You go into the music player and you see the sprites of some characters just running through a nice little thing that kind of goes back to Theat Rhythm, and it's adorable. I'll give them that. But that's absolutely it with any features. If you're looking for extra dungeons, if you're looking for the Souls of Rebirth that you found on the PSP version, where you can play as Minwu and go through the epilogue of Final Fantasy II, if you're looking for the extra dungeons of Final Fantasy I, or anything extra, you're not going to get that. I don't know why Square Enix completely axed that. One of the coolest features that I loved about previous updates, so we're talking about PSP, Dawn of Souls, some of the other iterations, those are completely axed. I don't know why they didn't add these. It's something that is a huge problem. I don't know why they didn't do this. And I think with that, I want to leave with one more note before we close out. One problem that I do have with the whole Pixel Remaster as a whole is more specifically for the people who purchased 4, 5, and 6 back in 2013 with that horrible PC port. A lot of people were talking about how they hated the sprites and how the game looks, and absolutely, the game looks horrible. And my problem is for people who purchased that, those games are now delisted from Steam and the new updated ones are going to replace that. But I mean, for better or worse, preservation-wise, we're not going to be getting those, but for the people who did purchase that and didn't feel like they got their wish, my problem is, why couldn't they do this in the first place? Square Enix, I really do love you, and I appreciate what you guys are doing, But I think for the people who purchased that, it's already a low blow because people already expected that. All right, last elephant of the room. A lot of people are also talking about, I wish this game could go on the Switch. Absolutely. This game really deserves to be on the Switch. I mean, could you imagine having this on the go, being able to dock this wherever you would want to, and play this wherever you need to? I think this was something that I truly wish that Nintendo did in correlation with Square Enix, considering that almost every single Final Fantasy is now on the Switch, and hopefully it can be on that as well, and not even just the Switch, but beyond, you know, PS4, PS5, the Xbox family of consoles. I think it's a great thing to spread all of these Pixel remasters and spread them throughout different versions. I don't know why Square Enix didn't do that. I'm hoping in the future with 4, 5, and 6 being released, they'll be able to do that. And there are my thoughts of Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster. It's an interesting version that I think Square Enix have done. I think it's nice and it's lovely and playable, but it does have a couple caveats that we mentioned. But my question to you guys, what do you guys think about the Pixel Remaster? Are you going to be picking this up for Steam? Maybe it's going to come to Switch. Are you going to be getting that? Let me know down in the comments below. And also stay tuned because we will be doing some port versus ports in the future of Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster and the previous versions of those specific iterations. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you want to see more of what I do, you can see on my left. But if you want to say thank you to the people on the right, I really appreciate that for supporting the channel. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you very soon and take care.